now. So thank you again for joining us today. My name is David Cerna. This is our LinkedIn Learning app webinar about summer learning on the go, really using our LinkedIn Learning connection and really learning even when you're commuting or when you're just listening in the car. So I'll go ahead and get started. And we have Joe Moore, our Senior Customer Success Manager. He's our LinkedIn Learning representative. And first, I'll go over how to access LinkedIn Learning with our UDC license. So let me go ahead and show that on the screen for everyone here, just as a reminder. So you will find our instructions online through our C.A.L website. I'm going to put 2 links right now in the chat box, so you can follow along with me. So the first link is right there. It says LinkedIn Learning Sign Up. That will take you right to this page. So this page is a quick start guide of using your regular LinkedIn Learning or LinkedIn account, your personal one, and then connecting that with our LinkedIn Learning license. So if you see right here, number 1, it says to activate your LinkedIn Learning account, click on this link. So let me go ahead and click right there. And if you are connecting for the first time, you'll see that it will ask you to put your information in. So this is just my regular LinkedIn account. I'll go ahead and press continue. And that will take you to this LinkedIn page. If you have not already set up your LinkedIn Learning account, it will go like this. So you will land on LinkedIn Learning, that sign-in page, sign in with your personal account. My personal account is through my regular Gmail. Once you have signed in, it will display your profile and ask you to accept and continue. Just click on that. Then you'll be redirected to that LinkedIn Learning homepage. So just like you see right here, that LinkedIn Learning homepage shows you all of these great recommendations. Something that I've really been fond of recently is 20 minutes or less, including podcasts. So Joe Moore will go over that very shortly. Next, I'm going to show you how to do this from your phone using the LinkedIn Learning app. And Joe will also talk about this a bit more. So let me go ahead and share from my phone. Everyone should see that in just a second. Excellent. So right here, you'll see on my phone, I have that LinkedIn Learning app right here. So you just download this for free from the App Store, either on your Android or iPhone device. If I click on Learning, once I have this all set up and I've linked my regular LinkedIn account to LinkedIn Learning, I can now access it directly from my phone. I'll continue as me, as David, and you'll see all of the recommendations right here on this page. So I really like to use LinkedIn Learning, especially from my phone. Just remember, it's just that separate app right here on your screen. Are there any questions I can answer before we move on? Excellent. And Joe, if you'd like to introduce yourself. Appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, David. Love the demo and the details on how to hop in. Make sure my video, my video, there we go.
There you go. Now I see you.
Okay. Yeah, and thanks so much for having me. My name is Joe Moore, Customer Success Manager here at LinkedIn Learning. And my primary role here is just to make sure that higher education institutions have access to LinkedIn Learning and that they get the most out of it, students, faculty, and staff. So everybody has their own focus. And today we'll be focusing on staff and faculty getting the most out of it for themselves. I do have some resources that I'm excited to share with you to try to distill things down for you. And then I am excited also just to get questions if you have any. Feel free to pop them in the chat. I got the chat over here. So if you see me look up to the left, that's what I'm doing. I'm checking on the chat.
Yeah, and I love your microphone, Joe.
Thank you.
Look
the
at
Blue
that.
Yeti. Yeah, I love this thing.
Perfect. So yes, I will be in the background. If you have any questions, just put them in the chat. You can also unmute, but take it away, Joe.
All right, so I will share my screen here. Advanced, ask me. Okay, are you able to see it?
Yes, I can see it. And then just put it in that presentation mode.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Right. So
Perfect.
LinkedIn on the go. I also really enjoy using the LinkedIn app, the LinkedIn Learning app on my phone. I've been using it on my phone for quite some time. I think the benefits of it are, for me, sometimes I need to listen to something. I also want to go on the computer and follow along And yeah, just being able to be in motion sometimes helps me. Sitting at our desks all day. Actually, I've been working from home for quite some time, and yeah, I sit too much. So being able to get up and listen and get some sunshine, get the blood flowing can be really nice. We have content that's specifically designed for audio only, and we have content that you may want to just get up and walk away from your desk a bit to listen to in the background while you're exercising, what have you, that might not be designed just for audio, but you can still benefit from getting that audio auditory learning as well. And then you can go back and visit. So one of the things I want to highlight is that you can bounce from device to device. So it makes it really nice. It's seamless to do that. So I'll go over the agenda. I'll give you an overview of just kind of a reminder of how LinkedIn and LinkedIn Learning work together to get you the latest and greatest content. I'll cover how to watch and listen. I'll show you how to set goals and track progress. And then I'll show you how to discover and customize the content that you peek at. And then lastly, I'll show you how to share, showcase what you learn, and then to add resources. Looks like I missed a comma there. Sorry about that. As a reminder, LinkedIn Learning has over 756 million members. That's always changing. But what that allows us to do is use the data from LinkedIn Learning to help pull together skills. So we can see all the skills that professionals have on their profiles. And then we also see, hey, these professionals are applying for these jobs, and sometimes they're not bridging that gap between a application and actually getting the job. So we'll design courses based off of these real-time needs. And so the content's always fresh, the content's always relevant because of that professional network that we have there. And yeah, I just wanted to highlight that the content is always up to date. And as David said, that you can download this app. If you feel free to point your phone at the presentation, if you want to download, you can. And it's in the Play Store and in the App Store, so Android and Apple. Click the next. There we go. So when you look at the experience, I really just want to highlight here that you can hop from the desktop app or laptop, and you can go seamlessly between these two devices. You're going to have the same library. So it's actually over 17,000 courses and videos. These are designed by and delivered by experts. That's one of the trademarks of the content, dating way back to lynda.com, when Linda Weinman created the content in the library. These are all designed by professionals who are experts in their field. And you'll notice that the content launches at day 0. So for content that's from Microsoft and all the content that you might think that you might need for some of the professional software that you use, productivity software, we launched that software almost on day 1. And I mentioned it was really high quality. We've actually got the biggest production studio outside of Hollywood, and that's in Carpinteria, California. So that's a fun fact for you. I won't cover all of these here, but just some other fun facts about LinkedIn Learning. When I mentioned that you can jump from your phone to your laptop or desktop, a really important note is that you're listening, but a lot of these courses have files for you to play along with, to download, to have a resource for you to print out at your desk. So in this example, I've got a course this course is on Camtasia. So in this example, you're actually getting videos that you can edit. And for me, that's been a big deal because I would love to edit videos, but I don't have professionally produced videos to play along with. This can also be really handy when you're learning a new soft skill and you can print off that skill. Sometimes these are exercise files that you can play along with to help manage projects and implement some of the ideas that you're learning. So it's really nice. Always look for the little area where it says exercise files. Okay, so watching and listening. You can seamlessly jump between watching and listening on your mobile device. And this is something that I love to be able to do because there's really no limits. When you're in a course, you'll fire up the course. I'll go back here. You'll fire up the course and it'll say, it'll look just like a regular old video. But if you happen to exit that video and close your screen, it keeps playing, which is great. So if you're going mobile, for my recommendation, let's say that you're going on just commuting from work to home, you can push play, shut off that screen, and then I use CarPlay, but it also works with Android Auto, and then it'll pop up on your console in your car, and it'll be that nice clean view where there's no distractions. All you really see are the pause and fast forward buttons if you want to. So you get that nice interface if you have that in your vehicle, or maybe you're in your pocket. I do have a quick little demonstration to show you how easy it is. I think there's a screen capture of my dog in there too, if you want to see him. So I'll go to my next slide. So going from watching to listening, let's say that you hop in and you look for a course. And in this little example here, I'm just typing in Camtasia. This is something that I really enjoy learning about and using. And here you can see that I get my list of results. In a few minutes here, I'm going to show you how to filter these results so you can get some really focused results. And I also demo here that you can use this little button, and hopefully it's not too small for you, but you got this little button here where you can tap it. So let's say that you're browsing, but you want to look later, you can hit this little button and it'll add it to a collection that you can peek at later. So that's just a kind of a fun tip. And when you tap on the course, finally, it'll pull up your course here, and then you can just keep watching it. Or when you hit that little button here with a little cameo from my dog on my lock screen, that's Mojo there, he says hi to you. You can just hit these big controls here, play, rewind 10 seconds, fast forward 10 seconds if you want. So you can toggle these. Another note that I should make is that if you want to, you can change the speed of the content. And so, for example, if it's a subject that you're just updating yourself on, but you're kind of familiar with it and you're comfortable listening to it at a faster speed, you can actually increase that speed as well. So, and that's when you're watching it here, there'll be 3 dots. I believe the 3 dots are up in the top left, and then you can toggle the speed as well. So another fun tip for you. All right, and I see a couple items in the chat pod. Yep, we do have some Apple curated courses. I've actually taken them because I've switched from PC to Mac recently, and we have some great content there, whether you want to learn iMovie, the basic interface, or perhaps you want to learn some of the other apps on Apple. Some great courses there too.
Yeah, and Joe actually provided us a curated Apple learning path. So I did put that in the chat box for everyone here. Thank you so much for that, Joe.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
And then I see another question. Can I access courses offline?
Yeah, you can. And I actually think if I had a little slide there, I will maybe tap on this little photo here. There is
Excellent.
a little button there called download course. And this is actually smart to do because if you're on a bus or you're on public transportation, I know when I was riding the C.A.L in Chicago, I would constantly lose cellular. So it's smart to hit that little download button, and you can download it on Wi-Fi so that you're not using your perhaps maybe limited cellular plan. Also, cellular just uses more battery. So if you download it over Wi-Fi, perhaps plugged in, you won't have to also be using your data, which uses your battery. So really good question there, and a really smart idea to download your courses. I'm glad you brought that up. So we all, perhaps all of us, I know I have, and I know I'm not in full screen mode, but I did want to point out that there's this great feature. It allows you to track your progress. It's something that I've experimented with. I don't always have it on, but what I have done is enabled it to just kind of let me know how much I'm learning. And it's kind of, think of it like a Fitbit. Or the Apple Health app, what have you, where you're able to see how much activity you physically have. And those things can be helpful. Actually, I had an Apple Watch for quite some time, and I don't have it now, but I felt like it really helped me build up some behaviors that were a bit healthier to help me recognize, like, halfway through the day, I should probably get up and walk. My watch would tell me. So what you can do is you can set the app up to tell you if you haven't been learning, or have it remind you to learn. So I'll give you a little demonstration of that. And what you do is, from that main home screen, actually, I'll go back there because I kind of went fast. So from the home screen, you're going to tap on the notifications area. So it's right down here, notifications. And I'm going to hit play on this little app, my GIF here. So you hit notifications, and then there's a cog wheel. When you click on the cog wheel, it's going to give you some additional options. It will give you the ability to hit push. Now, you get a lot of control here over what type of notifications you have. So perhaps you use it for a couple months just to give you an idea, a couple reminders on what your progress is. And sometimes it'll say, hey, you just learned way more than you set your goal for. So it's nice to celebrate too. But in this case, you'll go into push. And then there'll be a little area here that says learning reminder. And I have mine set for 2 different times. And I'll hit play here. So you hit there. Oops. You'll hit play there. And then you can set your reminder. It'll give you an alert and say, hey, you get to customize. Do you want it on Tuesday? Do you want it on Thursday? It'll give you a little reminder. And it will also celebrate your success as well. So it's a nice little feature in there to help you set a goal and also track the progress of that goal. I don't always hit it, but at least I know when I do. I think my typical style is I'll have weeks where I don't really get a lot of learning in, and then I'll have weeks where I just learn a ton. So that's typically how I work, but I get that nice little insight on my own behavior. So I know myself a little bit better. As far as discovery goes, you have your main page here. And on the main page, you're going to get customized recommendations. We're all probably familiar with using something like Amazon or Netflix, where it starts to guess what you like. Well, that's nice on some of those other platforms because it kind of makes your decision process a bit easier, but it can also make you spiral on content that you don't necessarily love. But in this case, think of it, the good news is that everything it suggests for you is based off of the world's largest professional network. And it takes others who are in professional titles like yours, or who have interests that you have. And then it starts to make recommendations to you, and it's helping you learn and really helping you in your career. So one of the best algorithms that you can leverage. Now, I want to show you how to take control here. So we have a little feature that allows you to customize your interests. And this is something that I actually do quite often. I'll change because my interests change quite often. I have the title of customer success manager, but I also love to video edit. I also love to do learning and development, you name it. I like to change my interests here and there. Also game development. So I'll kind of just indulge my interests. And so I'll give you a little demo of customizing your interests. You can do it from the mobile or the desktop app, you name it. So I'm going to hit pause there. And so from the home screen, you're going to hit the My Learning. And from My Learning, you'll notice that up top, you'll have a picture of your profile. And then if you tap that, it says that I have 6 skills. So I'll show you how to add one. You can also see how this is your weekly learning goal. So your Fitbit tracking progress of your learning. And then you can go ahead in here and change some of these. So you'll see off the bat that I have instructional design. That's an area that I wanted to brush up on. I have video editing, career development, and you can see I did add game development because that's something I'm interested in. But I didn't have everything on there. So I went ahead and I added another one. And you do that by going up to the, oops, hit Control Z there. I went ahead and I changed that by going up to there's a little cogwheel there. And then you can tap on finding a skill, and you can look up any skill that you want, and you can type that in. And here I just typed in learning, and I came up with the learning and development. So that went a little bit fast, but you can customize that as you see fit. And then I want to show you also how to customize your searches. So although this is the mobile app and everything's a bit more streamlined, you have a ton of control. I do see a question here in the chat, and I'll answer that. So DB says, are these the same skills listed on my LinkedIn profile? Now, that's a really good question. And a really important concept that I would love for everyone to understand and have this institutional understanding so that when students also understand this, because I really, really want students to understand this concept. LinkedIn Learning is a great place to inventory your skills. So you can go on there and you can manually type in skills that you have. You can type those in, and for students and because they're looking for internships and jobs, those skills get filtered out by recruiters. So recruiters are going to be able to see a match if those skills go onto their profile. When you learn something on LinkedIn Learning, it automatically goes over to your profile. It does a couple of things. For students, it's really important because as they look for that internship or job, that's going to help them become a match. For us lifelong learners, it's important to have those skills on our profile as an inventory, because I don't know about you, but I don't have any place to manage my skills. I'm not good at memorizing those skills. So from a lifelong learning perspective, when you take a course, having those skills go to your LinkedIn profile and just creating that inventory is a great way to keep track of your skills. That helps you as far as knowing what you've done and then knowing where you want to go, so you can bridge some gaps between where you're at and where you want to be. So it's a really good question. The skills from the LinkedIn Learning app do translate to your LinkedIn profile. Great question. So I'll show you the way to customize the searches here. So I'm going to hit play on my GIF here. I did a little pre-recording here. So from the main page, you're going to tap on search. So pretty intuitive so far. But as you hit search, there's some additional options. You can take your finger and swipe. It'll give you some options. And here you can tap on if you want a full learning path, which takes you from very beginner to expert. You can look for articles, you can look for audio. And in this case, I'm just going to look for audio, but you're going to get some additional filters here too. So you really get a lot of power here. As this example, I tap on audio. And from audio, you'll notice that I get just the audio, and the search gives you some power, more power up here. So you're going to see a little cogwheel or toggle switch here where you can get additional options. You can scroll through and just tap on these. I found that I like to click on this little area here because it gave me a nice little layout and I could see all the filters. So you can click on those. Once you click on those, you'll get even more powers, more filter powers here. So you got your language, your type, that could be video, it could be course, it could be audio. You'll get time to complete. Sometimes you're looking for something quick. You could do level, intermediate, advanced, beginner. So a couple more filters here. And I think I demo a couple of those here. Yeah, level, you can pick beginner, intermediate, advanced, what have you. And the filter that I think gets the least attention, but is one of the most powerful ones, is the sort by. It's tiny there, so I'm sorry about that, but sort by, you can do view count, which means the most popular. You can do the newest. When I want to look at software, I typically I sort by newest because I want to know what the latest and greatest is, but I always do like to see what the most popular is as well. So that's how to discover and customize. To round things out, you can still share content even though it's mobile. Got a little view here, and you'll see your course here. And then there's a little button here, that's the little arrow out button that I've got highlighted there, and you'll have some options here. You can share on LinkedIn. Typically, I'll do the more share option, and then I'll get me a URL that I can pop into email. I can email it to myself, I can email it to others, or you could even text message it to anyone else. I just had a friend who was looking to touch up his LinkedIn profile, so I did hit that little share button, and then I shared it via a text message. And then it looks like Tina says, hey, question. This LinkedIn Learning app, is it also on iPad? It is on the iPad, and it does, it's a separate app. So it looks nice on the iPad app. Everything is a little bit bigger on there, and it looks great on there as well. There's also on Android too. You can look at it on the Android tablets too. Good question. So as far as showcasing and inventory, this is where I wanted to make a highlight. And actually, we had that great question of, are these skills the same that are listed on my profile? They are. And so I had a great segue there and a great primer. When you finish a course, it'll say, hey, congratulations. You can showcase the completed course and the skills on your LinkedIn profile. And then you just tap that button and it does all the work for you. It used to be you had to type all this in manually on your LinkedIn profile. And I think it was, it was a big gap because you'd finish a course, but you're busy, so you don't do it right away. And then you forget to do it. This way it's all automated and added right away. So as far as resources go, I do have some resources for you, some content. And I gave the links to David, but I also have links here. So I do newsletters from time to time. I have a faculty success newsletter. I have a campus L&D newsletter as well. So in these, I cover content that's focused particularly on your given group here. So if I have wellness practices, these are helping you deal with stress and just practical tips on staying mentally sharp and fresh. Got some content on helping connect with students. Students are having some, they're bringing a lot to the classroom, more than they ever have before. So I actually have a handout for you in this kit where you can, I think I can click on it. And in this handout, it will give you some resources for students to kind of free your time up a bit here. So some of the more commonly requested content pieces are for student well-being. We have a LinkedIn Learning Kit for students. You can hand this out and to your students, something to keep them creative and interested, inspire some of their classwork so they can have a little more fun and spice it up. And then even we got a career guidance kit as well. I think we have a little bit more in there too on the job market, some data from LinkedIn to keep you fresh on what students are facing. And David popped those links in faster than I could even think it. Thank you. And for the campus L&D, I've got new employee onboarding to help anyone who's starting off on campus as a staff member to succeed in their role. Campus upskilling, some of the most popular skills that folks are requesting in the staff area. And then I also have managing for managers. Managers also need some attention too. So I have some content on performance reviews and just different ways to look at that. And then that audio only, we've got some audio only pre-curated. So this is a longer list of, I can open that up for you so you can browse. One of my colleagues made this. And you can browse here. You'll see some different content. This is designed for only audio. We have some really cool audio only courses. I just noticed I'm a basketball geek, if you didn't know by some of the stuff on my wall back there. We have content that features Bill Walton, David Robinson, and then Kobe Bryant's actually on here too. Kobe Bryant talks about the value of sleep. I miss that guy. At any rate, some great pre-curated content for you there, but I gave you the tools to make any course something that you can put in your pocket or take on your commute. So I hope that you enjoy that, and definitely want to open it up to question and answer. So if you have any comments or if you have any items that you're curious about, please pop it in the chat.
And Joe, as we wait for some questions, I would love if you could kind of talk about what is the value for students with LinkedIn Learning. So I know, this webinar is really directed towards faculty and staff, but how about our students?
Yeah, students have, and actually I would like to share something with you.
Yep.
So smart. I'm going to pull up a little link, but really when students start and they create a profile, there's different ways for them to to benefit, but we call it the student journey. And I've seen it articulated that way, where they create their profile and then they start to take courses. So they're building an inventory, but they're also learning how to network on LinkedIn. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're talking to a bunch of people, but they're starting to learn from other professionals what it takes to get where they want to be just by looking at other professionals who are doing what they want to do, who represent them, who look like them, who have gone from one area to another. There's the different pathways that students are learning. The statistic that we have now, and I've seen this number a bit higher for some institutions and a bit lower, but the average is students that use LinkedIn Learning are 11% more likely to get hired upon graduation. And that's because they're on the LinkedIn platform where they can look at jobs, they can apply for jobs, then ultimately get that job. So because they're familiar with the platform, they're starting to familiarize themselves with the lingo of their profession and also have these um, curated and suggested content pieces that pop up for them. They're prepared and they're ready. So to that point, just getting students on there and recognizing how LinkedIn Learning and having a skills inventory that helps them start to notice gaps and gives them confidence where when they have a gap, they can fill that gap. So they can take their courses and they get that instructor relationship and they get a broader overview of content that LinkedIn Learning probably will never have. But when they have a skill that they don't have, they're a little bit sharper as far as, hey, let me fill that little gap there. Yeah. And FAMA says, learn how to learn. And that's a big part of LinkedIn Learning for students. At least it was for me. So I definitely used it as a student when I was getting my master's degree. I studied learning and development at Roosevelt University, and I would take little courses on the side all the time, even if it was just helping me create a better paper. Because, like, for example, I never really used tables of contents very well, and it came to a point where I was finishing my portfolio for the class or for the program, and I didn't realize I didn't really know how to use a table of contents. And luckily there was a course on LinkedIn Learning to do that. And it made my life so much easier. It made my portfolio way better because it was a functional, real, it was a real index for the portfolio.
Thank you, Joe. I see another question from Pat. Are there any benefits to having a premium account when it comes to the learning platform?
That's a good question. And students have asked me that before. And I like to think of it as, hey, if you're graduating, let's say that you just graduated, it might be a fun, not even really just fun, it's a useful tool. And it's something that you can ask for as a present as you graduate, because there's additional fee with the premium. With LinkedIn Learning, this is free to the students, and normally they would have to pay for it. There's another tool called LinkedIn Premium, and we actually have a course on it that gives a little bit more insight, and maybe a little bit's not the right word, but it gives more insight to students on things like how many people are applying for a job they're applying for. They get insight into the skills that the recruiters are looking for. And that's probably my favorite thing that they can see is the skills, because they start to notice. And actually, before I worked at LinkedIn Learning, I had a friend who I'm so grateful that helped me, because I was actually, they were downsizing at my previous company. So he's coaching me on how to look for another job. And he said, when you use LinkedIn Premium, and that's why I got LinkedIn Premium, he said, look for the skills on a job. Because if you scroll down on a job posting on LinkedIn, and when you have premium, it'll show you the skills. And he said, make sure that you either have that skill or you're learning that skill. If you don't have the skill, go on LinkedIn Learning and learn it. And when you learn it, it'll post that skill to your profile. And me knowing that I was weak in a certain area was super helpful, because I could study for a job. But then when I didn't have the skill, I'd go learn it. And then I'd just be transparent about, hey, I just took this course. Because sometimes you get that question, what have you done to prepare? And I could say, hey, I noticed that I didn't have the skill, so I went and got it on LinkedIn, and still something that I'm working on. Or perhaps, as I mentioned with the exercise files, you typically can walk away from a course with something you've actually done toward that skill. So great question. And then Susie said, hey, can we add LinkedIn Learning content to Blackboard? And Pat said, yes, we're working on that integration. Yeah, we were working on that yesterday. More to come on that, Pat. Thanks for your patience on that one. That the new integration that's coming is going to be awesome. We're launching on June 15th, where Pat can officially have it set up at that date, but he's already ahead of the game there, of course. And it'll give you the ability to track progress of students, grades, and then just pulling in content is going to be so much easier. There should just be a little button that you can click, and then boom, you can pull in at a course level, a video level, however you see fit.
That is great. And I see Professor Yarish, I've created assignments where students were required to use LinkedIn and LinkedIn Learning, but I used the reflection journal to do that. So I think that's a great technique, great strategy for incorporating that. Thank you, Professor Yarish.
A question that I often get
Yeah.
is, how do we check for knowledge? And
Mm.
when you share a course on LinkedIn Learning with a student, there's a couple of different ways that I recommend to check for knowledge. One, you can do it in a discussion board to have them discuss the content, and that kind of forces that recall. And also you can see whether or not they learned. But a lot of these courses have content that they can follow along with. So if you want, you can have them create something based off of that and then submit it, and you can grade it that way. We do have the ability to, with this new upgrade we have coming, where you can see if they actually went in there. If you just want to see if they're actually engaging, maybe you suspect, they're kind of playing it off and they haven't actually been in there, you could see that as well. So you'll be able to check that.
Excellent. And Joe, could you kind of promote your services? What do you offer for our faculty?
Yes. So you have the ability, like embedded in our partnership, you have the ability to, let's say that you have student learner outcomes. You have some very specific areas where you want students to hit. You could submit what we call a content mapping, where you just tell us what those student learner outcomes are. And our content team will look at our library of over 17,000 courses and videos, and will submit a mapping of content to that course. Now, we don't cover every course. There's definitely sciences that we won't cover. We won't cover complex math and even like history, things like that. So it won't always be parity with your learner outcomes. I do want to accentuate that when you think of student learner outcomes, think of the barriers to those learner outcomes. And if you think of obstacles that students typically run into, that you will that we may have content for that. So if it's, I'll give you a super common example is Excel. There may be some content that students need to do in Excel that's really getting in the way of course content that they should know. Then you may be able to find some videos to pop into your syllabus or into Blackboard and say, hey, these are some common areas that trip students up. You can also look at, that may not be the best example, but we also, and I gave you that example of table of contents for my portfolio. If my professor had provided that, I probably would have finished the assignment a lot earlier and pulling out a little bit less hair or losing a bit less hair. And just some nice things. If you start to notice trends where students are hitting obstacles, you may be able to type that in a LinkedIn Learning and then pull that in and just have it in kind of a beginning section or resource area for students. So the remedial content that's related directly to the course. Of course, you can have content and just promote that lifelong learning by promoting courses to promote creativity, or, if you notice a student's really into video editing and you want to allow that in class, then you can promote some of those as well.
Excellent. So can they email you if they are interested in that content mapping? I could put that in the chat box.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Perfect.
Definitely email me. LinkedIn.com. It's joemoore@linkedin.com. Let me know and just say, hey, I was looking to map some content to my course. And then I'll give you an Excel file where you pop those competencies in. And what I'll do is I'll get that to my content mapping team. It usually takes about, I would say, 3 to 4 business days, and then we can get that content to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any other questions from the group that we can answer? Thank you so much, Joe, though. This was extremely informative. I love the GIFs or GIFs that you also used. That's such a good
Yeah.
way to show that.
Yeah, thank
Uh,
you. You inspired me because I knew you were going to share your screen. So I knew I had to step my game up a little bit, but I wish it was a larger screen. So sorry if that was too small.
No, that was perfect. I actually, Pat and I recently did a presentation and they told us we can't use any videos. So we had to also use GIFs
Yeah,
to show, yeah.
Camtasia.
Yeah, Camtasia works really well for that. So
Yeah.
what I'll do then is I'm going to put some resources in the chat box. And it's a bunch of different links. Hopefully you can see that really clearly. You can also save the entire chat. Click on those three dots and save chat in the lower right corner. We have Joe Moore's email there. So if you are interested in content mapping, please let him know. He has been such an incredible resource for us. So thank you again, Joe, for that. I went over at the very beginning of our webinar how to integrate your LinkedIn Learning account with your personal LinkedIn profile. That's through UDC. So you can click on that second link. We also have a bunch of different resources on our C.A.L website that you can also access. And then Joe shared a couple different links here. We have faculty success links, campus L&D, and also audio podcasts. This has really been helpful for me, by the way, because when I commute or I'm in the car, I just connect my phone and I listen to those audio podcasts, which really helps there. And then we also have our Cal PD and office hours if you are interested in working with us or attending any of our PD offerings. We do have a great one coming up this Thursday, the 26th at 12:30. That is with our wonderful colleague, Pat Cottrell. He will go over creating compelling videos with Apple. We also have our YouTube channel. This will be uploaded shortly with the deck on our YouTube channel, as well as our PD survey right there. If you have any other questions, please feel free to email us at calhelpdesk@udc.edu. Joe, any final thoughts before we say goodbye today about LinkedIn Learning?
No, just thanks so much for the chat and continually doing everything you can to get LinkedIn to help everyone on campus. It's a pleasure working with you, and don't hesitate to reach out.
Likewise, thank you so much. And you said that was like June 15th for the upgraded Blackboard integration?
Yeah, and Pat was made a good point. He said,
Mhm.
"Hey, just to be so you know, there's a current integration that works really well, but we are upgrading that to make it even better." And
Look,
it's
I
like,
rang my bell for that, so I'm excited as well.
yeah,
Perfect. Yeah, so thank you everyone so much for coming to our webinar today. Joe is an incredible resource, so we will be working with him again in the future, coming up in the fall. But if you do have any questions, I recommend emailing Joe. There's a great newsletter that he sends out every month with some recommendations, so that's really helpful for myself as well. But we really hope that you start using LinkedIn Learning and just learn on the go, especially this summer as we have a little bit more time with the end of the semester. So with that, thank you so much for everyone for coming. Thank you again, Joe. I hope you have a great rest of your week and we will see you very soon.
thanks
Goodbye, everyone.
again. Be safe.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the summer. Bye now.
Bye-bye.